Minnesota won't get the ball back.
Broken up by Gilmore.
For every player who breaks out, there's one that breaks their fans' hearts. Whether it's missed tackles, drop passes, or sailing throws into the stands, it all hurts the same. It doesn't matter if it's former first-round pick who's stuck in quicksand or a veteran whose wheels are finally coming off. Disappointment comes for everyone. So, now it's time to call it as we see it. Let's take a look around the NFL and identify the most disappointing players on every team this season.
That football out, and for C.J. Stroud, can't lose the game.
Arizona Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr., WR. Hype can be a double-edged sword, and Marvin Harrison Jr. learned that the hard way. After dominating at Ohio State, he entered the league as one of the most highly anticipated wide receiver prospects in years. But in Arizona, the connection with Kyler Murray just hasn't clicked. Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins, QB. Kirk Cousins was supposed to stabilize Atlanta's offense, but instead, he just became a cautionary tale. Still recovering from last year's Achilles injury, Cousins' mobility is visibly compromised, and it has completely derailed the Falcons' playoff hopes as they have faded down the stretch and lost the lead in the NFC South to the Buccaneers. Baltimore Ravens, Justin Tucker, kicker. Now this is a tough one. Justin Kicker has been viewed as one of the GOATs of place kicking, but it appears that his best days are now behind him. He's not only no longer elite, he is barely a league average kicker, and the Ravens have to be worried sick that he's going to cost them a game when the stakes are highest come playoff time. Buffalo Bills, Rasul Douglas, CB. The Bills brought in Rasul Douglas to shore up their secondary after the offseason departures gutted the unit. But instead of being a solution, Douglas has proven to be more of a band-aid, one that the Bills can't keep from peeling off. Carolina Panthers, Xavier Legette, WR. The Panthers desperately needed playmakers to help Bryce Young, and Xavier Legette was supposed to be one of them. But he seems to be another casualty of Carolina's inability to develop young talent. Chicago Bears, DJ Moore. DJ Moore's arrival in Chicago was supposed to unlock the Bears' passing game, and while he was solid in year one, he hasn't quite found the same chemistry with Caleb Williams that he had with Justin Fields. To make matters worse, he's been a borderline malcontent in what's been an excruciating season for Chicago. Cincinnati Bengals, Sheldon Rankins, DT. Rankins was supposed to be a big addition this offseason in solidifying not just the Bengals' defensive line, but the unit as a whole. Unfortunately, he has really struggled to find his footing, and the Cincy D has been a mess all season. Rankins' inability to make an impact up front has been a major factor, and for a team that came into the year with Super Bowl aspirations, his underwhelming play has been a bitter pill to swallow. Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson, QB. Well, can't say we didn't see this one coming. The Deshaun Watson experiment in Cleveland has finally hit its apex. The embattled savior has turned into an albatross, as his play has been a massive disappointment throughout his tenure. Alas, the project finally went up in flames entirely this year when he went down with an Achilles injury, but only after he had already tanked their season. Dallas Cowboys, Zach Martin, OL. Zach Martin is a Cowboys legend, but man, 2024 has been rough. The injuries have slowed him down, and his play has dipped below his usual All-Pro standard. With free agency looming, Martin's future in Dallas is suddenly uncertain, leaving fans to grapple with the possibility of life without their star guard. Denver Broncos, Marvin Mims Jr., WR. The Denver offense has been a roller coaster this year, and a large part of that is the wide receiver's inability to get separation and create opportunities for Knicks to get the ball downfield and additional spacing for Courtland Sutton, who has been their only consistent performer. Mims was expected to play that role coming into the year, but instead he's just left the Broncos sorely disappointed. Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson, DE. This one stings. Aiden Hutchinson was playing at a Defensive Player of the Year level before injuries sidelined him. The Lions' offense is a juggernaut, but their defense just hasn't been the same without Hutchinson's relentless pass rush. Come playoff time, Detroit will need that defensive anchor, and knowing he won't be there might really haunt them. Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, QB. Jordan Love has seamlessly stepped into the franchise quarterback mold in Green Bay for the most part, but man, he has got to do a better job of protecting the football come playoff time. Overall, he has been good, but they need him to be great and clean that piece of the puzzle up if they really want to compete for a Super Bowl. Houston Texans, Titus Howard, LG. CJ Stroud has proven that he can handle the NFL, but his offensive line is making sure that he pays a price for every success. Titus Howard has struggled to hold the line, and Stroud is really feeling it. With the postseason in sight, Howard has to step up and stop the bleeding. Houston is currently near the bottom in sacks allowed, and Stroud is taking a beating week after week. Howard needs to clean up his play if the Texans are going to make a run in the postseason. Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson, QB. Everyone knew that taking Richardson where Indy did in the draft was a gamble. And, well, it's starting to look like that it was a big mistake. He really hasn't developed as a consistent passer, as the accuracy is a huge concern, and he's not shown the ability to protect the football. Two pretty important things if you want to be a successful NFL quarterback. Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, QB. This was supposed to be the year Trevor Lawrence joined the NFL's elite. Instead, all we got was a roller coaster of highs, lows, and now a season-ending injury. Kansas City Chiefs, Wanya Morris, OL. Wanya Morris has been a turnstile in pass protection, and it is putting Patrick Mahomes on red alert. The Chiefs have shuffled their line, trying to plug the leak, but if they can't keep Mahomes upright, the playoffs might look a lot like the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers with Mahomes running for his life. Las Vegas Raiders, Alexander Mattison, RB. The Raiders' running game has been among the biggest disappointments as a whole this year. Las Vegas was hoping Alexander Mattison could take over the backfield and bring some stability to the run game, but what they got was a whole lot of nothing. Mattison has struggled to find holes, break tackles, or even look remotely like a lead back. Los Angeles Chargers, Joshua Palmer, WR. The Chargers have been one of the best stories of the 2024 season, but it looks like the story might not have a happy ending, and the wide receiver play, namely that of Joshua Palmer, is a big reason as to why. Coming into the year, LA was expecting a lot out of Palmer, but he has not produced with any relative level of consistency. One week, he's making plays. The next, he's completely invisible. In a year where the Chargers have made serious strides, Palmer's lack of reliability is holding them back from being truly dangerous. Los Angeles Rams, Bo Limmer, center. The Rams' offensive line was always a question mark, and Bo Limmer's play thus far in 2024 has not been the answer. Snap issues, missed assignments, and inconsistent blocking have put a lot of unnecessary pressure on Matthew Stafford. With their veteran QB well into the twilight of his career and the Rams' Super Bowl window closing, they needed a steady presence at center rather than a work in progress. Miami Dolphins, Calais Campbell, DL. Calais Campbell was brought in to be a stabilizing force on Miami's defensive line. Instead, he has looked like a player whose best days are in the rearview mirror. The Dolphins' tackling woes have been glaring, and Campbell hasn't done much to change that narrative. Minnesota Vikings, Cam Robinson, LT. When Christian Darrisaw went down, the Vikings turned to Cam Robinson to plug the gap at left tackle. Unfortunately, that plug hasn't held. Robinson's shaky pass protection has left much to be desired. New England Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson, RB. While he's been a consistent producer for the Pats over the years, Stevenson has not been at his best in 2024, in part because of the weak passing offense, but hey, still. Especially with a rookie quarterback, the Pats were hoping Stevenson could help carry the load, but his production has dipped, and with it, any hope of the offense finding a rhythm has vanished. New Orleans Saints, Derek Carr, QB. Derek Carr was supposed to be the steady veteran presence that the Saints needed to find their way back into relevance post-Drew Brees. But all he's ended up becoming is the target of the fans' frustration because of his inconsistent play and inability to stay on the field. When he has played, the offense has been stuck in the mud and Carr looks hesitant and out of sync. The promise of a fresh start has turned into deja vu. For a team banking on his experience, Carr's inability to elevate the offense has been a bitter disappointment. New York Giants, Drew Lock, QB. Everyone pretty much already knew that Daniel Jones was a lost cause, but there was some hope amongst Giants fans that Drew Lock could at least be an answer in the short term. And you know, for a stretch there, Lock brought the Giants a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could hold down the fort for a while. But well, that flicker was snuffed out rather quickly, and Lock's 2024 season has been a parade of missed reads, erratic throws, and injuries, making the answer to whether he could be the guy or even a valid stopgap a resounding no. And thus, the Giants quarterback carousel keeps on spinning, and Locke has done nothing to stop it. New York Jets, Hassan Reddick, DE. The Jets thought they were getting a pass-rushing dynamo in Hassan Reddick. What they actually got was a contractual circus and a player who will never hit his stride. A drawn-out holdout, no show at camp, and a lackluster return have defined his time in New York. In a season that has been filled with disaster and disappointment, Reddick stands out because of how avoidable this one feels. Philadelphia Eagles, Bryce Huff, DE. After his breakout season with the Jets last year, people were very high on the Eagles' move to bring Bryce Huff in. Unfortunately, he has not been able to create the same magic in the Kelly Green. Huff hasn't generated the same pressure, and the Eagles' pass rush just feels strangely weak for a serious contender. Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens, WR. George Pickens is a human highlight reel one week and a walking headache the next. The flashes of brilliance have been there, but unfortunately, so have the boneheaded mistakes and the emotional outbursts. For the Steelers to compete for a championship, they need way more out of their talented young receiver. San Francisco 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, WR. Brandon Ayuk came into 2024 riding high off a stellar 2023, but his season just never got off the ground. Contract drama overshadowed training camp, trade rumors buzzed, and when the dust settled, his production just sort of flatlined. 25 catches, no touchdowns, and then a season-ending injury. Yeah, that's the kind of letdown that leaves a sour taste. Seattle Seahawks, Jonathan Hankins, DT. Let's put it simply, Jonathan Hankins has not been playing well this season. Opposing runners are finding gaps with ease, and the run defense has been a glaring liability. Seattle's interior line feels very flimsy, and Hankins' underwhelming play is a major reason as to why the defense keeps getting gashed. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris Godwin, WR. Another tough one, considering it's injury-related, but Godwin was playing his best football in years before he went down, and losing him was a huge hit. The shifty wideout was finally playing like his old self. Crisp routes, clutch catches, the whole package. Gotta think that the Bucs are disappointed to be missing him heading into a likely playoff run. Tennessee Titans, Will Levis, QB. Will Levis teased Titans fans with flashes of promise last year, but year two has been a train off the tracks. The decision-making is shaky, to say the very least, the turnovers are piling up, and whatever confidence that he built has crumbled. Just one big major disappointment. Washington Commanders, Clelin Ferrell, DE. New team, same story. Clelin Ferrell was brought in to help the Commanders pass rush, but man, he has not moved the needle much at all. Ferrell has been disappointing people around the NFL for years now, so yeah, nothing new going on in DC. The former 4th overall pick out of Clemson has been far from a meaningful contributor. But hey, who do you think the most disappointing player on your favorite NFL team has been thus far in 2024? Who do you think we got right here? Who do you think we got wrong? Was there anything that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.